Now, if someone told you your new home was going to be in a shark tank, you probably wouldn't be best pleased. But not everyone, or should I say every fish, feels the same. At Portsmouth Aquarium, the sharks have some new pals joining their tank, but I wanted to know how they'd avoid becoming shark bait. These sharks have lived at Portsmouth's Blue Reef Aquarium since they were juveniles. But now a school of these yellow golden trevally have been added to their tank. You might think the sharks would be a bit miffed at having a whole gaggle of smaller fry in their water. You might think they'd eat the newbies for tea. But you'd be wrong. In the wild, it's perfectly normal for smaller fish to follow behind bigger predators. It's a behaviour called piloting.
Piloting is actually the name of a sort of activity that some fish do. It's when they sort of shoal or sort of swim in a slipstream of larger predators. So we've just popped our golden trevally into our shark tank now, and you might be able to see them sometimes sort of swimming after the black tips. They do this for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's for protection, and also it's for feeding. So when the black tips have some food, they're obviously going to have leftovers that are going to be floating in the water, and it's quite easy food for them to just pick up whilst they're swimming along as well.
But while they're happily scrounging their dinner, how do they avoid becoming supper themselves?
Golden trevally are actually really quick swimmers. So the black tips are a little bit slower than them, so there's not actually any chance of them eating them in that sense. But also they're too big for the sharks to want to have a sort of nibble on them anyway.
But before the golden trevally are let loose in the shark tank, they have a little spell in an introductory cage to get them used to the idea.
It's a cage that's got sort of netting on each side so the fish can't get out, and we just sort of place that and sort of lower that into the tank that we've got here. And that's just so the fish in the tank, so the sharks, the lionfish, the groupers and anything else that we've got in here can get used to other animals coming into their sort of territory. And it's also a way for the golden trevally to sort of get used to the other sort of tank members that they're then going to be meeting once they come out of the tank. So it's just basically just to make sure that everybody's comfortable with anything new that is happening. So we had them in the tank for about 3 to 5 days depending. So we did them in 2 sessions, so we moved 5 and then moved another 5 just to make sure that it wasn't all in tango, so not everybody got a little bit spooked out by it. But yeah, they're all fine. They lasted, some of them sort of, were in there for a little bit longer than others just because they're a little bit more cautious, but they're absolutely fine now. They're shoaling really nicely, which is good to see, which means that shows that they're happy.
Perhaps remarkably, when these small yellow fish get much bigger, they will themselves have fish following them round.
They can get to about 1 metre in size and weigh about sort of 15 kilos in weight. Once they are fully grown adults, they will actually become the host, and fish will actually start to pilot them. So they'll have smaller fish then following them once they're fully grown, and they'll then basically play the part of the sharks that we've got in this tank at the moment.
Sharks, of course, have a bit of a bad reputation. And even with a cage, you wouldn't find me taking a dip in shark-infested waters. But the aquarium staff say I've got it wrong.
A lot of films and things like that, they have given sort of maybe sharks a slightly bad name for themselves. They're not actually as scary as you think. There was a survey that came out a couple of years ago, and it showed that actually more people died from taking a selfie than actually from being attacked by a shark. So they're actually really friendly. Rodney, our zebra shark in this tank behind us, he's got a lovely nature, and he actually does really enjoy quite a nice belly rub before he has his food. So they're actually quite sort of tame and sort of loving animals as well. It's just sort of films and stuff like that that have tended to give them a little bit of a bad name at the moment.
Stroking sharks sounds like a fish story to me. Charlotte Breredney for That's Solent.